mentioned that you did do a successful startup and a non-successful startup prior to this, and is that so? There's one you sold called Spinback that you sold
Yep.
to Salesforce. It sounds like that was the successful startup. Is that correct?
That one was successful, but it was also the failure.
Right.
So we had a company by the same name 2.5 years, maybe 3 years earlier,
Yep.
that didn't work. Now, Jeff, it didn't work because there were three of us that founded the company. The
Hmm.
other two couldn't get along, and after a year and a half, they finally blew up, and they sued each other, and it was
No. Okay.
just a mess, just an absolute mess. And it took a couple years for us to get the assets back once all the lawsuits got settled, and then we were able to restart it. But I will tell you, when that company went down, uh, I had been funding it, myself and one of the other founders. And then when it went under, we had a lot of investors. I dug into my own pocket and paid those investors back. And those were my last dollars. And so it basically bankrupted me.
Hmm.
And I remember not leaving my apartment for a month because I was just so depressed from that failure. I'd had all of this tremendous success before with the schools that I was fortunate enough to go to, with the firms I was fortunate enough to work at. And there I was standing and getting a phone call from my mom asking if I needed to move back home.
Hmm.
And look, we should all be so lucky to have that sort of support network, but that doesn't make it any less horrifying to somebody to think to yourself, oh my gosh, like I just failed at everything and I'm out of money. How did it come to this? And it was tough. It took me a month to kind of pick myself up, dust myself off, and get back in the game. But it's an important lesson. It was an important lesson for me. And it's certainly important for other entrepreneurs to understand that, the success stories that we read about, the companies that get sold for whatever, or go public for whatever, those are the minor, minor, minor stories of what happens in startup land.
Mm.
We all know the statistics that 90% of the companies are going to fail and all these other things. And so when I talk to founders, I say failure is not only an option, it is your most likely outcome.
Mm.
And that's okay. You got to pick yourself up and dust yourself off. We have all been there. We have all failed. And so it is important for those of us that have been successful to talk about the failures that have lifted us and given us the strength of character, the strength of determination to continue through, because those are the things that pave the way for the success.
Exactly.